Hey, welcome to Champagne with Cheyenne. I'm your host, Cheyenne Malone. This is a place with real people, real stories, and unfiltered conversations. And I'm excited to announce a guest that is very near and dear, one of my best friends at this age in life. She's a personal stylist. She's a shopper. She's a model. She's an actress, momager, chief executive, motivator, and not to mention, she left this out, but I will not let her. D1 athlete, Danielle Shahnini. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So this is such a special moment because I feel like we have a lot of the same aspirations on camera.
100%.
Different in some ways, but I love the fact that you would join me in this journey to launching my podcast and being able to just real people, real conversations. That's what we talk about, right? And that's us on a daily basis, but we don't necessarily always have a camera in front of us.
I don't know. It's probably a good thing.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Okay, so let's talk about first how we met. It's funny. I moved to the Atlanta suburbs 5 years ago and didn't know anyone. Had a lot of friends of Atlanta, and Mike and I had moved all over the Southeast for my career, and we put down roots here. I'm like, all right, we're going to this area that I don't know anyone. And it's funny, a mutual friend of ours at tennis was telling me, there's a girl that reminds me of you. You guys have very similar energy. I'm like, really? Because I'm one of the guys. It's seriously. I was like, okay. And she said, yeah, this, that, like, you guys should meet. I'm like, all right, well, we were on the same tennis team.
Yep.
And we met and just like day one, hit it off, right?
Absolutely. And I think that word energy, it solidifies it, because I just think at this age, to your point, sometimes it's hard to make these new friends. And when you have that instant connection, there is definitely something there. And just from the second you started chatting with me and vice versa, I was like, this girl's going to be my friend.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that.
Okay, so full disclosure, I'm going to top you off a little bit, but we are honest and open on this show. So even though I'm drinking some champagne bubbles, you will have bubbles of a different sort. Not because she's pregnant.
No.
I'm going to top you off a little bit.
Energy from the room. I love my children.
I'll top you off. But, okay, explain to me. This is funny because I am a bubbles girl.
Yes.
You are not.
Yes. I am actually very lucky that you still want to be my friend.
Stop.
So I come from a mixed background.
Yeah.
My mom is Chinese.
Yeah.
My dad is American-Italian.
Mixed.
Thank you. And so I would imagine most people have interacted with some Asians that when they drink and partake, I actually have a gene that does not break down the alcohol. So technically I'm allergic. I will not go into anaphylactic shock. Do not worry. But I get really red to the point where, sometimes people, are you okay? You good? And so in this beautiful setting, I want to focus on us and not the evolution of the redness that would come on my face.
I love it.
But funny story, the other day I was out and one of the girls that I do VI peels with, and she's been very clear, do not be in the sun, cover up, all the skincare. And so I had a cocktail and I saw her out and my face was very red and she was like, do you have a sunburn? I said, no sunburn. It's just my alcohol flush. So we're mocktailing us today.
Yeah, we chopped you up a little bit. So you got a little bubbles in the cup. So it's not. Okay, so your upbringing. Let's go back to that because it is not your traditional. Talk about that and your dad being in the military and things like that.
So I was born in Pennsylvania. And my mom, as I said, she's Chinese. My dad is Italian, American-Italian. And they met up there. My mom was traveling through the States visiting her sister, fell in love, blah, blah, blah. And, here I come along with my brother. And actually, after I was born, we moved to Saudi Arabia for 6 years.
Oh, wow.
So we were there. It was, my dad worked for an oil company out there. And then when we moved back to the States, we came to Georgia because he was done shoveling snow. He didn't want to do any of that. Yeah. So we grew up here in Tucker. It was an amazing upbringing. I loved it. And it's funny because I was thinking about this on the way here. Whenever I tell people, oh, my mom is, Chinese, everybody always says, oh, you have a tiger mom. Yeah, and I didn't really I feel like my parents were both just so grounded, encouraging, supportive in whatever it is that I wanted to do. There was never this expectation or I guess, expectation, like this is what you're going to be and you need to follow this path only, which I think has helped me at this stage of life to have that freedom now to say, I want to try this, I want to try that, and do it with, with dignity and with, perseverance, not just, oh, I'm going to try it. Oh, I'm not going to do it. If I want to do something, I want to put it all in there and try. But truly, I think my parents just gave me that confidence to be able to do that.
And I would think that would translate in the upbringing of your own kids.
100%. I mean, with having kids, and mine are a little bit ahead of yours in the different stages that they're at. So I have 3 children. So I have a 14-year-old girl, 12-year-old girl. So we're going through all the things, which is fun. It's a challenge, but it's a pleasure. Honestly, it's a joy to walk them through that. And then my baby boy, he's 10. But it has been really amazing to think about the lessons from my parents, how it is evolved just between myself and my husband and his upbringing, and just pass that down to them. And I think you'll see, like especially middle school with the girls, the biggest lesson that I can teach them, and the biggest lesson is learning how to have emotional intelligence. I think we lack that so much in our everyday lives now. And again, from my mom, how she raised me, my dad, I will never forget his lessons of life was always actions have consequences. That's like ageless. That's timeless. That is something that if everybody actually thought about and then implemented in their life, actions have consequences. I think it would just change the way that people walked about every day, the things they said to people, the way they interacted online now. And so I instill that in my kids.
And talk to me about you and Jamal. Your husband's name is Jamal. This is funny too. So my husband's name is Mike. Hers is Jamal. Anytime we go out, we put our names in, or they get the check, and like Jamal, and they're like going straight to Mike. Yeah. So, but it's split. He's Mike and Jamal is Jamal. So talk about Jamal.
Okay, so
his ethnic background and how the two didn't quite mix at first.
Yeah. So Jamal is Lebanese, and he's light-skinned Lebanese, and he's got beautiful hazel green eyes.
I love the way she lights up when she talks about him.
I love. And so I have two really good stories about that. But yeah, so he's Lebanese, and actually here in Atlanta, where I grew up, all the Jamals that I knew were African American. So when I met Jamal, I thought, oh, you're not my average Jamal that I hear, But the funniest thing is, as I mentioned, I grew up the first part of my life in Saudi Arabia. And there was a young boy there. His name was Jamal, and he was a white Jamal, if you will. And I had the biggest crush on him when I was little. So when I met my Jamal, again, having never met another lighter-skinned Jamal, I asked him, I was like, did you live in Saudi Arabia?
Wouldn't that be?
I mean, right? And he was thinking, like, no, he probably thought, well, isn't that very stereotypical of you to say? True. But so I had to explain myself. But yeah, and I always say, even in our wedding vows, I said, Jamal was my first and last crush. So yeah, so we come from a very different background in that also his family is Muslim. I come from a Christian background. For my family, it was very similar. My mom and my dad also being very diverse. My mom used to tell me that her parents did not accept my dad at first when they were together. So we had a little bit of that when we first got married. I think it was just the Arab community. They're so close. It's really a beautiful connection that they have. And they really try to hold on to their culture, especially when they've left and come to another country. So I understand why it was a little difficult at the beginning to welcome me, who really doesn't understand the culture, is completely an outsider to it. And so during that, it was actually nice because my parents had gone through that, they were like a safe haven for us.
Sure.
And I will say now, we worked really hard to create a very strong relationship with them. And it was to the point where my parents, his parents, we're traveling together. Yeah. We went to Lebanon together. We really, it was really something quite special.
I feel like that's what America is about, right? Kind of blending the different cultures, getting to know, because just because you're not familiar with that culture or that upbringing doesn't mean you can't relate to it in certain ways. Yep. Or like you said, your parents went through the same thing, different culture setting, but very similar too. I feel at the end of the day, a lot of people have more in common than we.
Oh my God.
but it's like the unknown that makes people scared and hesitant and reserved, and they're proceed with caution, and they don't want to know because it is scary.
Yeah.
I love your family dynamic. You have 3 amazing kids. They're amazing, very well behaved. I feel like they're always helpful. They helped us with.
Well, they love you. They love your kids.
So sweet. And I just love watching you guys thrive with them. I know you were a big part of your life. You were a college athlete.
Yep.
At Georgia. You're a gym dog. This is something that you downplay. And I'm like, no, girl, sing it. Because I had to, as you know, another commonality was a D1 athlete.
Yeah.
So how does it make you feel knowing the amount of time and effort that you put into something and the big achievements that you've achieved, but now you're looking at your kids and not one of them is a gymnast?
Yeah, which is really funny. So when they were younger, we did all the things. We tried all the rec classes, and they both did it for a little bit recreationally. And I remember thinking, I never really see anything here. So we're just going to keep it moving because it is like most sports. It's expensive, it's time consuming, it's challenging on your body. And so now they do field sports, and actually both my girls, which I'm really proud about, are into martial arts.
Yeah.
They're actually going to be testing for their black belt soon.
Phenomenal.
And so I would say for me, seeing that and also recognizing the individuality between not only my own 3 kids, but the difference in me as well, right? I knew very early on I loved gymnastics, and I was very dedicated to it. In high school, I did summer school because I would leave school early to go train 6 days a week, 4.5, 5 hours a day. It was my life. And so when my kids first started showing interest in sports and maybe were, directionally going in one way, I immediately thought, why aren't you practicing at home? You should be doing this. You should be doing that. And I would say things, and then I realized, you know what? It's got to kind of play out. And to watch them on their own, then say, hey, Mom, I'm going to go outside and practice my lacrosse on the backboard or whatever it's called. I don't know. I didn't do field work. Or I'm going to go do my strength and conditioning for karate without me having to ask. Those are those really proud moments where you were able to just step back and say, this is them. That was me. And then just be happy when when they get it and they have that fire.
And hats off to you for that, because I feel like there's a lot of parents out that we see it right in the bleachers and on the sidelines and on the field. That want something so bad for their kid, but the kid just might not want it, and for you to just kind of say, you know what, that's not their forte right now. Let's lead them to, whatever they want to be involved in. Let's drink to that.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Cheers. That's
Raise them right.
Raise them right, girl.
Okay. So we live in this beautiful suburban area. It's often called a bubble.
Yeah.
Yep. Friends, mom friends, kids have friends. But you did something that was so incredibly brave, taking your kids out of school for almost a year, right? And your husband, all taking a break from life.
Yeah.
And you traveled abroad.
We did.
Talk about that. It's incredible. What an experience.
I know. And if I could do it all over again, I would. So after COVID, my husband got sick and had some pretty big health scares. So at that time, work was very stressful. But when you have a health scare, you really start to reprioritize. And he just decided, you know what, this is not worth it for me right now. And he loved the company he was with, but he just said, I need a break. And his boss, who to this day is like another father figure, he's a mentor. He was so understanding. And he said, you know what, you go, don't worry about anything, take care of yourself. And so when we had that opportunity and that gift of time, I kind of jokingly had said, hey, why don't we take the kids out of school? We'll homeschool, we'll travel. And he was like, yeah. And I think I was shocked that he said that, but he was like, let's do it. And he is like the ultra trip planner. Like he should be a travel agent. But so we did. We actually left. We went to Utah for a month. We rented an Airbnb. We would homeschool in the morning and we would ski all afternoon. And then when we came back, we were here for about 2 weeks, and then we headed out to Europe for a couple of months and just traveled all of Europe. So for school, I focused mainly with math and language arts for my kids. It was like the building blocks, right? But then it was, hey, I want you to write a report on the Eiffel Tower. I want you to talk to me a little bit more about the Parthenon and Athens. And it was just an experience that I think opened their eyes so that they realize when they come here to this bubble, there's so much more out there,
Sure.
and there's so much. I think one of the defining moments for me was when we would be on a playground with the kids and none of the other kids spoke English, whether we were in Italy or France or Portugal. But yet the kids would just connect and they would be playing soccer, they would be playing chase. And to see that innocence and that purity and to see people loving each other at their core, regardless of their background or their, where they're from, what their religion is, it's like a core memory for me. And I hope also with my children.
You love to travel.
I love to travel.
What is it about travel that just makes you tick?
I think travel is a way to escape the hustle. Every day here is a hustle, I always joke, and I'm sure most moms, I'm an Uber driver. Starting at $2.45, I get no tips. I don't get 5-star ratings, but I am an Uber driver. I love it, but I'm everywhere. And then it's, okay, what's next? What's next? Homework, this, that. So I know the second that we have a trip planned that we're going to relax when we wake up. We're going to sit on the balcony of wherever we're at and have a cup of coffee. The kids are going to just walk everywhere and explore and not ask, right? I think when you travel, depending on where you're going, depending on, the environment, there's this feeling of not wanting. Do you know what I mean? Sure. I think here and probably in many places like this, everybody has everything. And if they don't, they're asking for it, right? But when you go out of the country and you are just in that setting and in that culture, it doesn't matter if you have the newest phone, the newest shoes, the whatever it is, it really doesn't. And I like that. It's mentally relaxing to me. And then I just see my kids, they play together more. They interact with others more. There's none of this like, oh, I know that girl from school. Go talk to her. No. But in another country, oh, hey, what are you guys playing? Or what are you doing? It's just relaxing mentally and emotionally.
I would think that would create a unique and tighter bond with the family of 5.
100%. And when they ask and look forward to it, I know that we're instilling that love of travel in them, which I love because I want them to take us when they're older.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you take your mom. And
Yes, yeah.
So being in this bubble, you have so many opportunities, right? And resources that a lot of other communities don't have.
Yeah.
How do you, because you're at the point where you're probably able to provide whatever your kids would want and need, obviously need clearly, but like want as well. How do you cap that? How do you limit that? How do you balance it where just because we can go get it doesn't mean you get to have it?
I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Really, this was like a really defining moment for me a couple of years ago. I was at a dinner party, and at that time, my oldest was in 6th grade, and she didn't have a phone. None of my kids have had devices. She didn't have a phone. And I was talking to another mom whose daughter, I think maybe might have been in 4th grade. And I was just saying, yeah, she doesn't have a phone yet. I mean, we have a watch. So if she absolutely needs something, we can communicate. And we really only got them the watches when we traveled overseas, God forbid. If we got separated or something, we would have a way to communicate. But this mom was in shock that my daughter didn't have a phone. And she said, how do you do that? And I thought, well, because I'm the parent.
Sure.
And I feel like there's been such a role reversal where you don't know who runs the household anymore. And I've always, Jamal and I both have been very clear about the roles in our house. We are the adult, we are the authority. And when your kids know it, accept it, they may challenge it at the beginning, but I've never had an argument with my kids about a phone, about social media. So my daughter now in 7th grade, she has a phone, but she has 0 social media. And we talk about why. Like, I want to explain the why. I think if they understand that, depending, I guess, on the relationship, there's a better level of respect for the decision. But again, in my house, we're the adults. We are the authority. So there's no, it's easy to say, it's easy to say no. It doesn't always feel good because, you do want your kids to be included and accepted and not be the ones that don't have this or that. But we teach them value too, right?
Included and accepted. Middle school is a hard place to be in, right? You've got 2 middle schoolers. One is almost off to high school.
I know.
Talk about that. How is that experience? How are you navigating? I know that they've both had some pretty good, solid experiences, but you're always, it's just that age factor where you're questioning, you're wondering, do I fit in? Do I not?
Yeah. So, if I could write a book on it, which I might, or have an advice column, I would, because I have received such good advice about middle school. First of all, I don't know if middle school is harder for the child or the parent to watch them go through things, because you want to just jump in there and like yank a girl. We're not going to do that. We're going to keep it classy. But I'm not saying names. But I think the best advice that someone gave me was just listen. Your kids don't always need you to jump in and fix the problem. Because I'm going to fix it one way. It may not be your way, and it may not be polite. So it's really just listen, and sometimes even say like, okay, do you want me to just listen, or do you also want me to give you my thoughts? Sometimes my daughter will be like, just listen, and then I hug her and I hold her. I think that I got to give all these kids grace, because to your point, middle school, they're out of their mind. Mm-hmm. Their hormones are going, their bodies are changing. It is like Survivor. They're coming out like guns blazing, and you don't know who's my friend today, who's my friend tomorrow.
It's the mood swing.
The mood swings. And so as a parent too, which is really funny, your child may come and tell you about somebody, and then you're like,
I know.
And then the next day you're like, oh, I'm going with that somebody to wherever. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. I'm still really worked up about
what's that about this? And,
So you have to also remember it's just a moment in time for them, and they are so resilient. And I touched on emotional intelligence earlier. And I think if you can instill that in your kids, when they start actually being aware and they make those connections and they point it out to you, you realize like, okay, I'm setting them up for success, because that's what life is, right? It's about it's other people. You don't walk through life alone. You really don't. And so if you understand and have empathy and know not just what makes people tick, but maybe why they are acting the way they are, it's not always an excuse for that behavior, but it gives you that insight to say, dang, this is not me, that's them. So
my daughter's a 2nd grader, as you know, and I'm already experiencing things, and I'm just coaching her through.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the only thing I can do right now. I'm trying to equip her with the knowledge that, will she follow everything I say and do? No, but at least I'm there for support and trying to help cushion things. Like, look, there's going to be another one of those, right?
Yeah.
This is this girl in this way this year, but next year there'll be another and another. So we're not going to escape it. There always is. And like you said, you don't know what's going on at home or how they're treated, and everyone's got a different background and story, so you don't know why they would take things out. And you see movies, I'll teach teaching moments within movies and Hallmark Christmas movies, things like that. So, okay, so you were there for Jamal during the health scare, right? One of the most trying times in your life. You've been there for other family members, extended, your kids, raising them, getting them to all the things. But in this day and age, I see you thriving and moving into another chapter and taking things for yourself, right? Going after things that you always wanted to do. Talk to us shortly about when you graduated college and you did have a career. Obviously, you started giving things up to have kids, but now you're kind of back in the career zone, and now you have so many exciting things brewing. So tell us about that.
So when I was working, I worked as a project manager for a consulting company. And before I had Jenna, I didn't know, am I going to want to stay at home? Am I going to want to keep working? I was very blessed that if we chose to, I would have been able to stay at home. And an old boss had told me, if you love what you do, like passionate about it, it gives you life, you'll figure out a way to make it work. If you're just, I'm doing it for the paycheck, she said, stay with your kids. It goes so fast. And to be honest, at that time, I did it for the paycheck. I enjoyed it. And so I took that to heart. And when I had Jenna, I made the decision after. I don't want to go back to work. I want to be here. I want to raise my kids. And then we just kept popping them out. So there was that. And now that my youngest is 10, I would say about 2 or 3 years ago, I just thought I would really love to try acting. I've always been interested in that. And I would say 3 years prior to that, right after COVID, I was dabbling in styling, right? And that came out of nowhere. I was posting pictures on Instagram of outfits that I was putting together. I have no formal background in fashion or anything like that, but there was a trend, right? People started messaging me, oh, I love this outfit. Where did you get it? Oh, will you come style me? And I thought, oh, maybe I'm kind of good at this. Like I know how to dress myself, but I don't know if I could actually dress somebody else. And so there's a woman in our community. She was an executive. She had 5 kids. She's like, I have no time to shop. I don't want to shop. I don't like to shop, but I need a new wardrobe. And so I said, okay, well, how about let's do a test run together. Let me see what this would look like. And so I shopped for her. I rolled this whole clothing rack into her house. There were 60 articles of clothing. I had 30 pairs of shoes. I really went over the top. And I would say other than a few pieces that maybe didn't fit properly, she purchased 95% of what I brought in there. And when I tell you, it would be like you and me. You're much taller than me, different build. Like I asked her, what's your style? She goes, your style. And I thought, oh, well, sometimes I go to Forever 21 and that's for shorties. So to be able to then take a completely different body type and visualize what would look good on her and nail it, I thought, oh, I could do this.
And that's how Looks by Danny?
That's how, Looks by Danny Girl came about. And I styled so many women, again, different heights, shapes, sizes. And the best thing that comes from that for me is that one-on-one where I see their confidence shift. And it's like I have in my house a little studio that I ended up creating because my husband was like, okay, I can't have all these clothing racks in the living room anymore. So we converted a bedroom in the basement. It's called the dollhouse. Yes. So as you know, you have been there.
Yeah.
So whenever I have extra articles of clothing, people will come in. But the dollhouse also is like a form of therapy. People just are vulnerable because your fashion, your clothing, what you wear is an extension of you, right? And so to be in that vulnerable place, it's very rewarding.
I think it's very important too because a lot of moms in our community are stay-at-home, so they're not going to work every day, and we get comfortable in, athletic clothes, and they're cute. Don't get me wrong, but something about oh my God, makes it want to buy, and I haven't gotten jeans or I got dressed or I want to do something. And you carry a certain different type of confidence when you're just getting dolled up and doing things. One thing I loved, because I'm I love to dress myself. I know what I'm doing. But when I would go and visit you, you would have things I would never pick out. Remember the shacket?
Yes.
I was I'm not wearing a shacket. They're like, this is kind of cute. And I feel like I don't have
so good with little sports vibes.
So just putting your own twist on it. So I love that. I love that you can see past different things that maybe, you wouldn't have worn, but you try it on, it looks different or things like that. And I think everyone loves just, being pampered and taken care of. And I think now, this day and age, we're a very service-driven, community and environment as a whole, society. I love good services, so you provide that, and we love that. So I think you keep doing it. I hope you revive it. I know you do here and there, but it's special clients.
Special clients. Well, and then
because you're busy being a momager, actress, talking about that.
Yeah, so that has been so fun. Georgia is such a hotspot for acting and modeling. And we had some friends that as a family, they did it, right? And I remember the wife said, I did this as a child and it helped pay for my college, or, now my kids do it. And at the time I thought, well, I feel like we have a pretty diverse enough look. And I think that's the direction that the industry is going in a little bit in certain ways. And so we were so blessed to be able to sign with this agency, and we have been actively working. And we do a lot of commercial work, and then the agency also has hired me on and referred me out as a stylist. So it's really been neat just to see this evolution of my skills, my talents, my children. So I feel like we're definitely thriving.
Can you tell us about some of the projects you've worked on?
Yeah. So the funniest one probably that we've done to date is for Band-Aid.
Okay.
Because so the audition, we had to all audition in our bathing suits, including Jamal. And so it was this you self-tape, right? And so, oh, we're the Shigini family, blah, blah, blah. And then we got a callback. So callbacks are, if they're not in person, it's a Zoom callback. And so I told Jamal, babe, you got to come home from work early. We got to get in our bathing suits and we're going to have a Zoom call. And he said, you want me to be in a bathing suit in front of all these, like, they're producers and directors. And I said, yes, I do.
Please.
Here you go. Here it is. And so he jokes to this day, like, great, I'm just standing here in my bathing suit. But yeah, we got that job. They hired us for that. It was a lot of fun. We have had the opportunity to work with General Mills to do a commercial. We did an awesome commercial with our dog, in fact, for Meta. And hopefully that will be coming out soon. It's a really lovely story. I'm not sure the format that they're going to do it in. And then most recently, we got to go down to Disney and do some commercial work for the Grand Floridian.
And everyone's loving this. I feel like your whole family is just kind of taking advantage and enjoying the moment.
They are. And Jamal will joke because, sometimes when you're doing these shoots, it's multi-day shoots and it's during the week. And he'll remind me, like, babe, I got a real job, right?
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, but he loves it. He really
down.
He loves it.
You're driving in it. So we're very similar in this, where you're very upbeat, energized, always positive. Have you ever had a moment in life or a time period that things just weren't falling your way? And then if so, because I know everyone has, how did you overcome that and how has that changed you today?
Yeah, so funny enough, when I was younger, in my 20s, I had a friend that said to me, gosh, you just walk through life with rose-colored glasses. And at that time, I took offense to it, thinking I've been through stuff. I've experienced stuff. And yes, I have. You go through adversity, there's challenges, everything is relative. But not until my adult life that we really did experience some family trauma, drama, did I realize, damn, I wish I was just walking through life with rose-colored glasses. Because several years ago, we had a family tragedy, and it just rocked our world. It rocked every relationship that was once so authentic and easy and beautiful. And it took a lot of time. It took a lot of therapy, which I had never really done before, but I couldn't articulate what I was feeling. And to be honest, I experienced a lot of depression. And it was very hard for my husband to try to lift me up through that, for my parents to see that. And you saw it, right? I mean, you were one of the biggest supporters. You were always there for me. And I learned really honestly through therapy. My therapist had said, listen, you will come out of it no matter what. Therapy just helps expedite that, right? And so I'm grateful for that because it allowed me to, again, self-reflect and really realize that no matter the circumstance, everybody's going to see something through their lens. It's not right or wrong, but everybody's experience is so unique and how they feel and what they're going through. And it's not anyone's job to make it right for that person. Mm-hmm. So I really had to put myself first, as hard as that was, and as much as that shifted relationships. And I miss those relationships greatly, but it was bringing me down to a point of not being able to be there for my family, for my husband, for myself. I became very withdrawn from life. And so I think just having time to process, having people to talk through, and being able to say things that while they might sound ugly, that they don't judge you. Mm-hmm. And they're just there for you. And so when I finally started to come out of it and fully come out of it, I was like, let's effing go. Yeah. I want to take everything by the bullhorns and run with it, or whatever the saying is.
And I feel that from you. I love that from you. And I feel we obviously met 5 years ago. I knew that Danielle, and then you went through the hardship. And for me as a friend, I didn't know, I wanted to give you your space, but then be there for you, supportive. But it's one of those things that you kind of have to work out on your own. And I think you did all the right things to do so. Ultimately, what has that taught you now that you're just letting it rip and just out in the world and doing things? Do you have a different lens that you're looking through?
I think, one, it's taught me, I feel very enlightened. Let's put it that way. I feel like, again, talking about emotional intelligence, I can see things for what they are. I don't judge it. I really don't. I always say to you, like, I'm just going to make an observation. I make observations. I'm not going to judge what you're doing. I'm going to see that you're doing it, and I'm going to go about my business. As long as I know that I am doing things with great intention, with no malice or will to hurt anybody, which I never would, I'm good. I struggled a lot with putting myself first and thinking, okay, but what does this other person think about that? What does this person think about that? I'm not, and that's too much weight to bear. You know what I mean? Because again, I wasn't trying to do anything in life to hurt someone else. It was just too much. And so I think I've learned a lot about boundaries and that they're great. Everybody should have them. And when you have those boundaries for yourself and for others, I think it just gives you a clear line of sight of what your goals are and how you can achieve them, whether it's personally, professionally, as a friend.
In life, anything you want more of.
Oh, gosh. I think about this a lot because you can always say, oh, I would love more money to be able to do this. I would love more. But I feel like in this beautiful bubble that we live in, there's always someone with more, or there's always people that have. And if you look behind the curtains, not sometimes, I think all the time, that's not really what brings the joy, right? Sure. We've seen it crumble. And so for me, I'm actually quite cautious, Jamal, as well, to be very comfortable where we're at. Not to say we don't have goals or we want to do this, but in that respect, if life could continue as we are, I'm blessed.
Yeah.
I would be so happy. Cheers to that, girl.
Continuing life as it is. However, if you did have an unlimited resource of money, give me 3 things you would buy.
A private jet to travel around the world.
You're not wrong. She was quick.
Okay.
Yeah. That's only mine too.
Not that I would buy it, but I want to act in a movie.
Yeah.
So I would want, I don't know, maybe I buy a glow up so I get garner more attention. No, but I would love that.
Okay.
And I would like to know that for both my parents and Jamal's parents at this stage, I mean, they're fine, they're set. But like, if there's anything they wanted, if I could do something for them even more than we already, like, here, live out your life. Like, you guys go be wild. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because can I give back,
I love that.
And they could ride on our private jet, obviously.
Of course. And you could, chaperone, right?
Correct, right.
Anything in life right now that you would take less of?
I think I would take less busy. And it's hard. And when I say busy, it's really more about like the kids' schedule. There's nothing else I don't want to take anything off their plates because they love what they do. But I do miss, during COVID, we were all forced to stay home and be together. And I long for the days where we sat and did puzzles and we just talked, or like our family, for example, something that they'll never forget. We love Marvel movies. Mm-hmm. We watched every single Marvel movie in chronological order of how like it took place. And like, that's something we'll never forget, but we had the time. Mm-hmm. And so I think if there was something I would, again, take less, it would just be the busy. I don't know what, but it would just come make sense. Yeah. Okay.
All right. So since you are a stylist, I would be remiss if we didn't do this fun segment here. I'm going to drop that little cardboard thing. I don't know how that got in there. Okay.
So this is a segment I'm calling Styled for the Chapter.
Ooh.
So I'll name a chapter and you kind of give me an outfit idea and what it would be giving.
Okay.
Your intent.
Okay. What is it giving?
So one of them, starting over.
Starting over, I would, so basic, right? I would do a great pair of denim, a crisp white shirt, and just like simple earrings. Because to me, it's like you're fresh. Anything goes now. This is my blank canvas, but it's classic.
I love career comeback.
Oh, career comeback. Well, I'm going to do like a great power suit, maybe a little low cut because we're of that age, right? Some great heels. Just something more bold and like a statement necklace.
Soft life era.
Oh, That makes me think of like a flowy, just pretty dress that's got like ties up here, just something really elegant and just I'm sitting in a field of flowers.
Breezy, what Beyonce was.
Yeah, my hair is flowing.
A mom reclaiming identity.
A mom reclaiming identity. That's a good one. It's definitely not going to be a yoga outfit, right? I think it's something that I would love it to be something a little bit edgy. It's everyday, but with an edginess, right? Okay. And edginess to me is an accessory. So I'm thinking a great confident pair of tennis shoes, like cool Nikes, right? Then we've got like a cute denim skirt, because that's old school, with a fun top, and then just, again, statement pieces. So it's still true to you.
Yeah.
Still true to that mama. It's functional, it's practical, but there's an edge to it. Right?
Kind of enhancing, right? With the jewels and all that. Oh, date night.
Oh, well, sexy.
Duh.
Hello.
What is sexy?
Legs.
LBD.
I know, yeah. I think it's, I love pieces. I will always say, like, what's your element of interest in your outfit? So, for example, your gorgeous dress. To me, it's the one shoulder. We've got the ruching here. It's not a basic black dress, right? I love outfits that from the front, it may look a certain way. When you turn around, it's like a completely open back, so those
element
things,
of surprise, maybe a little bit.
An element of surprise. So taking something and just having that like,
zhuzh. Okay. I love it. So since you're such a world traveler, tell me, if you are packing a carry-on, what are 5 items that you must have in that carry-on bag?
Okay, let's see, my 5 items. Are we talking clothing? We're talking everything. Everything. Well, obviously a brush. You got to do that. Maybe not even a brush. I bring a hair straightener, because you can do so much with a hair straightener. Okay. So we got the hair straightener.
We won't count that. You're right, because that's a beauty product. Let's do clothing.
Clothing.
Yeah.
All right. A great pair of tennis shoes that are athleisure, that can go with everything. You can dress them up. You can dress them down. A cute pair of sandals, maybe like wedges. Again, you can be casual or not. So I think those 2 types of shoes.
Love that you started with shoes.
Yes.
Yes. Start with a shoe and work your way up.
And I'm literally now picturing the outfits that I'm going to have with those shoes. The next one would be a cute sundress. For me, I'm going to do shorter, just because I'm short. But I think like a midi length, just something that is basic enough that, again, you can wear your wedges, you can wear your tennis shoes. A great denim jacket, and that will absolutely change up the outfit or the look. And then I'm going to bring one workout outfit. Because honestly, but it's got to look cute, because then you can also throw on the denim jacket with it, whatever. I think those would be
on the sneakers. You can kind of I love it.
And good undergarments. I mean, that's just
any in your life, not even just for travel, must have beauty products.
I wish I could say I had all the beauty products, but I really don't. I mean, I go through life being like, yeah, this CWS product looks good. Or this, I mean,
anything tried and true that you are just all about that may not be super fabulous.
Pond's cold cream.
Oh, I've heard that before.
That is what I use to take off my makeup. Pond's cold cream. And growing up, my mom always moisturized with Nivea, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I have that. I have Pond's cold cream and Vaseline. I mean, I use other things. If we're talking like, again, timeless.
Those old school products that grandmama was using and mom that are always a hit and always just longevity, especially if they don't change the formulation. That's like my
Yes.
Perfect. Well, we've talked about so many amazing things. I love having you as a friend.
I love
your family is so special. And I just love watching you thrive. I've seen a lot of different elements of your life over the years, and this is just my favorite chapter for you. And I want you to name it for us. What would you say? I feel like it's thriving, because you are thriving, but I want you to tell us what chapter of life you are in.
I think it's the chapter of enlightenment. I look at everything with a whole new, fresh set of eyes, and I am comfortable in that.
Cheers to enlightenment.
Cheers to enlightenment.
Oh, good word.
I love it. And I love you. I was so happy to be a part of this, and I have enjoyed our friendship. And I think something that something that really matters in friendships, right? You meet people because of commonalities. And right now, at this time, it's really because of our kids, right? But the fact that our kids are not what bring us together, I think will keep us quite connected for the long run.
Absolutely. I feel like tennis was one of our big things, and you're not playing this season. And I initially were like, oh, like I'm not going to see you, but it's forced us to make time separately.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've seen each other more
100%
than ever. So I will continue to follow your career, obviously.
Likewise.
And we'll have to keep everybody posted on social media and all the good things. And I can't wait to see you in whatever next thriller. I think I'm saying Marvel. I mean, you guys watched all the films during COVID. Cheers to movies. All the big things. All right. Thanks.